Hi guys, it's me, Dani. I don't feel like showing my face in this video today because I think I look ugly today. So you're just gonna have to listen to my voice and see me from yesterday, okay? I wanted to tell a fun story today because I talked about this on TikTok very briefly and it kind of went like viral, I guess. I don't know, it has like 400,000 views. So clearly you guys wanna hear about it. And this is the story of my criminal ex-boyfriend. And I say that because I had an ex-boyfriend who was a criminal. Actually, I had two, so maybe I'll talk about both, but I'll start with the first one. So I was like 17 and I met this guy and he was beautiful. Like he was one of the most beautiful men I had ever seen in my life. I don't know if that was accurate, but that's how I thought when I was 17. And we met through friends and we kind of had this like instant connection, if you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you ever met anybody like that, but like we made eye contact like the first time we met and I could just tell that he was attracted to me and he could tell that I was attracted to him, okay? So that's kind of how it started. So I remember like somebody sent me his number or Snapchat or something, probably Snapchat, and we started Snapchatting, but he lived like 40 minutes away from me, okay? So we started hanging out and he was actually in one of the music videos for Cimarelli a long time ago, so that's funny. But we only hung out like 3 different times, okay? And we kind of just had this like really intense thing. Like, not to get too graphic, but like the first time we hung out, I remember we like made out in a parking lot for like an hour. Not inside the car, like outside of the car, like with people around, which is like very unhinged of me to do. So that's a weird thing to do. Definitely don't do that, but that's where I was at in life at this point, okay? I was definitely a weird person. So we just had this like weird thing, and that's honestly kind of a red flag, so I should have known that, but it's whatever. We started liking each other and we hung out literally a couple times, but we were mainly like Snapchatting and texting, and like that was our main form of communication. And very shortly after, he like asked me to be his girlfriend, okay? And I was like head over heels for him. I remember on like our 1 week anniversary or something, then I like wrote him this letter and like made him a bunch of like songs like on a CD that reminded me of him. And it was like so dramatic. Like it was as if we'd been dating for 6 months, but it wasn't even because like we knew each other really well and I just like had this soul connection with him. It was like, I was just obsessed with him. Like I was just very attracted to him. And so I thought that I was like in love with him. And this was after like a week. Okay? And I didn't know he was a criminal at the time, okay? I knew that he smoked weed, and I didn't really like that he smoked weed because whenever he would smoke weed, he would call me and act really weird, and I didn't like it. And I say whenever he would smoke weed as if there were multiple instances. There was only a couple instances because again, we only hung out and talked like a few times. But when he did, he just acted really weird. So I didn't like that he did that, but that didn't really make me think he was a criminal or anything. And so we just kind of dated for like a week or 2 weeks maybe. Like it was maybe a month. I don't think it was a month. I think it was literally 2 weeks, okay? And on our like week anniversary or 2 week anniversary or something like that, I remember that he like didn't talk to me all day. He was being really weird, and then we ended up breaking up. And we broke up in the most nonchalant way. He was like, yeah, I just don't have time for a girlfriend. And that was kind of it. And I was so heartbroken. I was so sad, and it was so dramatic, and it was the end of the world. Because again, I was obsessed with him, but it was whatever. Because at the end of the day, like after the breakup, I was like, okay, I really didn't know him that well. Like I was sad for a day, and then I was like, okay, I needed to calm down a little bit. I think I was just attracted to him. But then shortly after we broke up, my mom's car got broken into, and so did a couple of the ones in the neighborhood. And it was like unlocked cars that they like opened the door and took some stuff, okay? And they went into my garage because I don't know if it was open or how they got into my garage, but they did go into the garage. And I actually remember I was awake and I heard the garage door open, and I assumed it was just like one of my family members going home. So I didn't like investigate or anything, but there were people, I don't know who at the time, in my garage, like rummaging through my parents' cars, okay? So I remember this happened, and it was super random. Like that never happened in the neighborhood that I lived in. It was like a very fancy neighborhood. And I walked outside the day after it happened, and I remember standing on my driveway looking out, and I was like, I feel like this was personal. Like I really feel like this was somebody I knew. I don't know why. I'm kind of like psychic, not like actually, but sometimes I just have gut feelings. Like one time I was driving and I was like, I think I'm gonna get into a car accident today. And then I got into a car accident like an hour later. And then that other time I was like, I feel like this is personal. And then I just like ignored it, but I ended up being right in the end, okay? I just keep living my life. I kind of forget about it. It's been like a few days, a week, whatever. It wasn't that big of a deal. They didn't actually steal anything valuable, so like the police never got involved, but I just assumed like, oh, it was just a weird feeling I got, but that wasn't necessarily right. Like it was probably just some random person. But then I'm at a car dealership because I was working for my brother at the time. I was like making extra money, like being his receptionist kind of, and he worked at the car dealership. And so the news was on, and I never ever listened to the news. So I never would have heard this had I not like listened to the news. But I was sitting in the car dealership, the news was on, I was listening to it, like it was on TV, but I wasn't watching. And it was like 10 teens from this city in Tennessee all are arrested for breaking into people's cars and stealing things from them. And I was like, oh, that's weird because my car just got broken into in a different town, okay? But the town they were talking about on the TV was the town that my ex-boyfriend lived in, okay? The same one that we were just talking about. Because remember, we lived in different towns. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we lived kind of far away. And so I was like, that's weird. Like, that's where he lives. And it's like teenagers. Like they said it was actually students at his high school. I remember they said that. They said like 10 students from this high school in this town, and that was the high school he went to and the town he lived in. So I was like, that's kind of weird. Had a weird feeling when I heard that. So then I kind of forget about that, okay? And a couple days go by, and then I see my friends. We go out to dinner. Different friends, not him, but they were friends who introduced me to him because remember I met him through friends. And I was like, oh, have you heard from this guy, my ex-boyfriend? And they were like, oh no, he was in jail. And I was like, what? What do you mean he was in jail? And they were like, yeah, he was like in jail for a couple days. I think he just got out, like he got arrested. And I was like, oh, what? So I texted him and I was like, you got arrested? And my text didn't send because like his phone was off or something. And then he responded a couple days later, and I think he said that it was for like weed or something, like someone put weed in my car. And I was like, First of all, I don't know if kids get arrested for having weed in their car. I don't know if that's a thing because he was like underage at the time. But I just kind of felt like he was lying. And I never fully got proof as to whether he was the part of the kids who got arrested or whether he broke into my mom's car or whatever. But I just kind of feel like I knew, right? Like that stuff didn't happen very often. It happened to be kids at his high school. He happened to go to jail the same day that all these kids got arrested, okay? And so I just felt like it was him. And I never got confirmation and I never spoke to him again. But to this day, I think of him as my criminal ex-boyfriend because like the group of kids who ended up getting arrested, like they stole guns from people, they stole like money from people. It was like a thing that had been going on for months of breaking into people's cars like around their town, and they had stolen like a lot of stuff. And so they were getting in a lot of trouble. And so if he was involved in that, like that was a big deal. And my theory is that like he came to my house maybe once or twice, I don't remember. But my theory is that he saw that my parents lived in a nice neighborhood. So like he told all his friends who were also breaking into people's cars, like, oh, we should go do this neighborhood because it's my ex-girlfriend's neighborhood and her parents have money, you know? Cause like, that's how he would have known about it. And as far as I know, I don't know how many other people in the area got their cars broken into, but I never heard about it, okay? So I think it was them. And then I have another ex-boyfriend who was definitely a drug dealer. And I realized when I made a TikTok about this, I accidentally combined them into one person because I forgot that it was two different people. But I had another ex-boyfriend actually who loved weed, like loved smoking weed more than anybody I'd ever met in my life. And I guess we didn't officially date, but we kind of did. And he had 2 phones. And he would always like, when we were hanging out, he would always like walk away to like take phone calls and like go into another room and like make sure I couldn't hear. So like I was 99% sure he was also a drug dealer, but I never got confirmation of that either. But I'm like 99% sure he was. Like it makes sense that he was. So yeah, guys, I had really good taste in men as a teenager. Thought I would tell you guys those lovely stories. I think they're really funny. I think they're good stories, but let me know if you want to hear any other stories from me in the comments. And I hope you all have a lovely day. Okay, goodbye.